T, it's all you, baby.
Yeah, it's good to be back, baby. Welcome. Hello, and how y'all doing? Welcome to another glorious episode of Inside the FDL. I'm your host, Terrence T. Epps, and joining me as always is standing beside me, Darren Dime Shavitz.
What's up? Good to have you back. Glad to see you're well rested. You're well rested, T.
Good to be back. We also have with me Jay Jiggerman Z Zimner.
Yo.
Big boss man.
And last but never least, Freddie, the team picking builder pillar. Going on.
What was that?
Team pick it. What was it?
Team builder.
Oh,
You're
team
the team
picker.
builder.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm throwing it out there. You know, we freestyling with it, Freddie. Go with the flow.
Caston's a new team builder. I think
okay.
I'm out of a job.
Well, hey, gentlemen, this is great to be back. This is actually my first episode for this season, this year. You guys have done an amazing job filling in the spots. Nigel, salute to you as well, Hulk. You've been doing your thing as well, and appreciate it. Looking forward to many more. Last week you had a nice little game. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Shervis, what was some of the the good stuff about last week that you enjoyed?
The highlights and the lowlights, D. Chervitz.
Yeah, we'll start off with the lowest of the lowlights.
Oh no.
A non-showing from T, our intrepid host. Slept through his alarm, said he had a big Saturday night and didn't wake up. You look really good right now, so clearly the extra rest did you well, but we missed you out there.
I know, Shervis. I know. I wanted to ask you something about that point, though. How many no-shows have I had in my career? Because I believe that's probably the second.
T, I don't think you should go there.
Yeah,
because I know it's more than two.
No. No way, Freddie. No way.
Late shows and no shows combined would be a topic we don't want to get into. Total no shows, which is one of the biggest faux pas you could do. And if this wasn't the end of the year, you'd be subject to the 4-week RSVP penalty, which I've decided not to implement till next year. I've given you a one-off warning because of your long-term devotion to the league and everything. But it is not a good thing to have someone miss when there's a wait list. Fortunately, Frank, who was number 1 on the wait list, planned on coming anyway to just be part of it, and that was awesome. So he was there to fill in your gap. We also had one other no-show, which was always a question mark when we have a new player. I met someone playing poker, Craig. He's a teacher up in White Plains. He seemed really excited about it, and really good guy. So I was hoping he said he was in, but he didn't show, and I've yet to get an email or any explanation from him. So he's on the
poopy list. He's on the poo-poo list.
He's on the poo-poo
list. And
list.
they never heard from him again.
That's right. He's now been fired as a teacher. No, so but the game was great, and props to Caston. Even with T's absence, he put together an amazing set of teams. Obviously, over time, he can't get any better, more competitive than that. I don't know if he parlayed any of his reasoning or rationale to you, Jay. If you want to chime in here and talk a little bit about the teams, maybe you could say what the teams were very briefly.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm going to make T feel a little bit more guilty than he already feels, only because when T was breaking down the teams, the only thing I said to him was, if you can figure out a way to put T across from Lewis, he has asked for that for the rest of the year. He wants to challenge himself. So Caston came back to me and said, actually, Daddy, I can't find a way or a reason to have T opposite of Lou this week. He's on your team, Daddy. You need him defensively. And I said, you know what, Caston, that's kind of insightful. Like, do you see T as a cover guy or as a safety? He's like, kind of see him as both, but if you need him at safety, you've got him, even though you have Nigel on your team. Nigel might be the one-on-one cover guy and T's, in the back. So when you didn't show, you threw his team making off a little bit. I'm not sure you cost us the game, but unfortunately we were on the losing side of this epic affair that, as Darren mentioned, went to overtime, which just saying the words overtime is exciting because we haven't had an opportunity this year with the other permit coming into effect at 12 o'clock. It's been who has ball last and how that plays out. There's no opportunity for any overtime. And so we've had 3 ties on the season. But it was very exciting, and I'll let Darren go back into his synopsis. But I did want to say that T was a major factor for Caston in this week's game.
I'm sorry, Cass. I'll make it up to you, buddy.
Oh, and sorry, the teams were Nigel, Lewis, originally T, Javi, Alexi, and
Frank.
Frank and Frank. And who was my 8th guy?
So you had Ray. You got Ray
And Ray
Ray.
myself. Okay. Versus Darren, Freddie, Abraham, Omar, Isaiah,
Akiva.
Anthony.
Akiva, Anthony.
You said
We
Frank.
had Ben.
You had Ben.
And you
yeah.
had
No,
Ben.
We had Ben.
Okay,
So
I
when
don't know.
did Matthew come into play? Did you say Matthew? Was Matthew?
Matthew was on their team.
Matthew was on our team.
Yeah.
He's joined our WhatsApp group finally, and
Yes.
I mean, I love that kid.
To his chagrin.
Well, soon to his chagrin, I'm sure. But no, he's a great kid, and obviously one of, along with Javi and Joseph, the 3 candidates for Rookie of the Year this year. I think will be a pretty good battle. They all have their strengths and maybe
Yes.
some weaknesses, but this is a year we've had some interesting rookies, so that will be one race to watch. And we talked about it on the WhatsApp. Anthony has been playing last 3 weeks. He's going to miss his final game, but he's been a real good emerging player, heads up against Lewis in a lot of routes and coverage. So he'll be front runner for Rookie of the Year next year. He'll be eligible. So glad to have him aboard. So getting back to the actual gameplay, Jay laid it out. It was a competitive affair. I'll tell you, the most compelling, notable fact about the game in my mind was the line play. We had an enormous amount of sacks. I sent out, I think it was like 8 sacks, and I missed 2 from Abraham. So Abraham let me know that he had 2 sacks as well.
Yeah,
So-
one of them was amazing. Like he reached just across the line when you were.
Oh
handing
yeah,
the
I
ball
forgot
off
about that one.
and got you. That one was.
Yeah, he was offsides.
That one annoyed
but-
me, and it was awesome.
I think he was offside, but
wasn't.
whatever.
I'm telling you, he wasn't. I was confident.
No, it was amazing. So because Jay had 2 sacks, Lewis blitzing from the corner had 2 sacks, and Abraham had 2 sacks for their team, and Ray had 2 sacks. Like
Wow.
it was
Okay.
insane. And then on our team, Omar was a beast. Omar was unstoppable. He only had 2 sacks, but he had pressure the entire
Yeah.
time, and Akiva had
Okay,
2 sacks.
Omar.
Yeah, and Akiva had 2 sacks as well. So the line play, I mean, again, in our league, you get 4 downs to get a first down and only 8 downs per drive. 1 sack is a killer. It's almost as bad as an interception. And so that was a big reason why the scoring was pretty low on the day. And I'm trying to think. So we got off to a good quick start.
Wasn't the first drive all Lewis and the touchdown on the other team?
No.
Was that
the
Nigel.
week before?
That was the week
Nigel.
before.
Nigel started for our team and came up short and unsuccessful on his 3 straight drives. And I think we were down either 2-0. Yeah, it was 2-0.
It was
Right,
2-0
you guys-
because I remember this because it was 2-0 and Jay was taking over at quarterback. So I'm
Right.
thinking in my head, like we may be up 4-0 after the next 3 drives. Jay has had
Yeah. Oh no.
what?
Yeah. Our huddle was all like, "Yo, Jay's quarterback, and he's gonna try and dink and dunk his way all the way down. He can't throw the long ball," and we were right, but he was still successful, which was insane.
He did throw a couple good longish balls this game. I mean, he was on fire. He had his best game of the year by far. His first score was a 4th down completion near the end zone. We were playing zone, and he fit in a really nice pass to Javi in between me and Isaiah. That was the first score. Got him on the scoreboard. Made it a 2-1 game. got him right back into it. And then the next drive, he had a touchdown, I believe, to
Lewis
Lewis
on a long pass.
on a
Yeah.
long pass. So screw you, Freddie. He can throw the
Yeah.
long ball.
I didn't say it. I'm saying the guys on our team were saying it.
But yeah, I was definitely saying it. All right. So the point is,
I'm not naming names.
and then it got real close. Then it became a battle, back and forth, more defense, like those sacks, and it was tough to score. I think for the most part, I'm trying to think what else came into play, but it was just a back and forth battle. And Jay makes a great point. For whatever reason, now that it's the spring season, these last 2 weeks of the year, I had to apply for a new permit for the spring permit. It's a new season. And whoever was playing soccer at 12 o'clock obviously doesn't have the field. At least last week they didn't. So we had till 12:30. Hopefully we have it again for our final game. It's going to be tough because do you count on it or not when you win the coin toss? Because it does make your decision tougher. I think we're going to have the field at 12:30. But if we don't, we have to, we're going to have to get off. So we'll see what happens.
Vacate.
I'm going to look it up online. You can see if there's any permit issued at a certain time. So I'll see. It doesn't guarantee that we will have the field, but we probably should. And so that's in the game. So we had the overtime. We won the toss. We played defense first, and we shut down, I think, Nigel. And that was a little bit of a surprise. Maybe you could talk to why you didn't. Because I think you had a discussion. I saw you talking about who gets the ball on the last drive of the regular time game and then overtime. I think you were discussing who should be QB, and you let Nigel have it, even though I think you were the better quarterback on the day. So maybe you can talk to.
And having Nigel out there gives you a better receiver core. So,
I mean, it's a combination of me being a little bit too passive and pussy, and it's also me being, I guess, and crediting the fact that Nigel just has a longer history and he's the more experienced quarterback. I'm still, at the end of my first season, and I kind of felt like at some point Nigel did start to get into a little bit of a better rhythm than he had in the beginning of the game. And I just felt like, you know what, Nigel, take us to victory, bring us home. In retrospect, it's easy to second guess that decision because we didn't win. And I had been playing pretty well, and having Nigel as a receiver, in my opinion, is far better than having me as a receiver or even me on the line. So maybe it was a mistake in strategy, but I just felt like over the course of the lifetime and the history of the league, Nigel deserved to have crunch time. And maybe next year I'll be a little more assertive if I feel like I'm the hotter quarterback.
Yeah, I think that's
nice.
very fair.
Or Sunday.
This Sunday, you mean? Okay, and so we ended up with the last drive on 4th down. Omar he called it. He came into play. He said, "I'm gonna do a cross, and they're not gonna follow me. They're gonna get bumped up. They've been hitting themselves or bump." He basically said, "I'm gonna be open on the other side of the field," and he was wide open. And it was almost me freaking out, like, do not, because we were on the south side of the end zone, and which has like no back line, or it's very tough to know where that end zone ends. And so I was just like, please just get it there. And I did. And that was it. Game over.
I do want to comment on that last play where I felt like I actually did a really good job as a lineman. But I, in fact, probably threw Javi off of his defensive plan, which is if I have an opportunity, unless it's Lewis, to bump a receiver who's close to me and we're not on a blitz, I'll always try to, at least within that first yard, bump the receiver off his route just to slow him down. Mm-hmm. If nothing else, the quarterback is on that target and then has to go away from it when he sees that he's caught up in some sort of a hit by me. So I hit Omar on that play, and Javi gave up on the defense. I don't know if he assumed that I was going to pick Omar up, but Javi didn't follow Omar across the field. And Omar, like you described, was literally wide open with no one within 10 yards of him. You just lobbed the ball to him in the end zone for the win. So I guess I threw Javi off there and chalk it up to maybe a rookie mistake, but
yeah,
whatever.
You need to have those discussions with the rookies. Javi we know is a improviser in general. He likes to do his own thing on the field sometimes. So in that case, it stung you guys. But a great game, very competitive, pretty not much in the way of arguments. We had One of the cool things about the game is I took a lot of videos, and other people took videos with my phone on the sideline. So we had some really good highlights that we shared with the WhatsApp group. If you aren't a member of that, get on so you can see all those fun discussions. The biggest discussion was a pass interference play that was Lewis against he called it. Yeah, he called it on Akiva, and I ended up picking the ball off and returning it for a touchdown. Making a good move on Abraham, by the way, I have to say. But
wait, before you even get into that, the whole entire play was made by Fred. Fred came in and hit Nigel's arm.
Yes.
And the ball was wobbling out of Nigel's hand. And again,
I don't think that was
picked
the
it
same play.
I don't think it was that play either.
Because
That
if
wasn't
that's
the
the same
play?
play, if that's the same play, then there can be no pass interference if the ball's been deflected.
Well, it
No,
didn't say you
didn't
deflected.
deflect the
You
ball.
hit his arm.
You hit his
I'm saying.
arm.
He
No,
said
I hit the ball.
Well, then it's a different play.
I hit the ball and then slapped his hand.
No, it looked like when it looked
Oh.
like you hit his arm on a play and he threw an interception as
That
a
was like
result.
the-
but I guess that one.
That was
we,
like
that
we have
one
a
stood.
we have a video of it, so we can probably find it. We have
Right.
two angles of it because Lewis's girlfriend took a
It
video
was
of
crazy.
it, and whoever had my phone took a video of it. So and Lewis is so wrong on this one. Like, again, the argument was, did Akiva intentionally impede his route? You cannot get, as a cover guy, you cannot move out of the way intentionally to get in the way of a route to block someone, but you're entitled to that ball as the receiver is, and they were just running side by side and got caught up with each other. I think it's clear as day looking at the video what happened, and that was Akiva's attention from the very get-go. Is like, I was just running, like I didn't make any contact with you with my hands or anything, and I thought it was a bad call, but Lewis insisted on it being a foul. I think Lewis calls way too many penalties for as dominant as he is of a player. Honestly, I don't like to say like he should have a double standard or a different standard. Rules are the rules, but when you're that strong and that fast and that good, I just think you put away the whistle on yourself sometimes if the contact is a little ticky tack. And
Well, we got to put it this way though. I mean, it's so rare that he is adamant about something that he believes to be true. So he was so adamant about it, we had to accept it.
I assume that's facetiousness
Yeah.
on Freddie's part, because I know Fred ain't defending Lou. We know that's not happening.
Everything he says is absolutely the truth, 100%, and you can't discuss it because it's all right.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. He doesn't carry much. I mean, look again. Look, you just look at the other thing that would happen. In the WhatsApp group before the game, we were saying let Lou pick the teams. Because he loves complaining about the teams, and the teams he came up with were,
Oh my God,
so bad. You just like the guy. I like Lou. I know some on this panel may not, but that doesn't matter. The point is, like, he is like, he's got his mindset in a weird way, and it just doesn't.
pain in the ass.
You can't fluctuate it.
And that's what I was going to ask earlier, because I know we was at the point where Lou was picking the teams, but then Caston actually got a hold of it and he reorganized some players. So how
He
did
knocked it out of the park, man. He knocked
That's
it out
what I'm
of the
saying. I
park.
mean, Lewis showed his
how did that
hand.
come about though?
I'm so happy.
you know,
because-
guys, I think Lou, speaking of showing his hand, I mean, he admitted on WhatsApp that his teams were ridiculous. He even suggested that he pay Caston off to keep the teams the same. He says, "What's the kid's Venmo?" I don't know if you guys caught that,
Yeah.
but he was
No, I
literally
mean,
saying once it
Everybody
was
thinks
decided
it's a
that
joke.
Yeah, that was a joke, dude.
Everybody thinks it's a joke, and he might have been in a joke
Well, it
manner,
was-
but like he would do it. Like literally in the FDL, he would do it if it got him like the awesome team, so he could dominate and have 12 touchdowns, and then proudly sit on the sideline while the other team is miserable. Like literally, that's what he wants.
What's crazy about it is he said he started off the conversation with, "I'm going to make these teams so fair, trust me." And I didn't think we were going to see the teams until Sunday, but then like 2 minutes later, which obviously deep thought and lots of planning, and he showed his teams and they were ridiculous, like no thought. like 5 safeties on one team, and it was just it was
3
it was so-
quarterbacks, 7 people missing.
yeah,
He didn't even have all the
he
players
didn't
in the
have the
game.
right players. It was trash, and so that's why Caston got the role. And like I said, like this is I loved it. He did a great job.
He did.
You know, we're going to talk about what's going to happen next week because it's going to either be a big game or a 4-team round robin tourney.
Which hasn't happened in the FDL for quite some time. I mean,
Yes.
when the last time we had one of those?
It's
So-
been
It
at
was a
least
while.
3 or 4 years, right?
Yeah.
We used to have
More than
them.
that, I've never been in one. I've never.
Yeah.
Oh,
As
Freddie,
long
you-
as I've been playing, I've
Then
never
you
been
missed
a
the
part
game.
of a 4-team tournament.
I thought you was here.
Oh.
So why? So you were one of the ones who voted for the big game. So is that just because Lewis is voting for the other side of things? By the
No,
way,
no. Actually,
okay. Go ahead.
Lewis being in the game, I think, makes making 4 teams pretty close to impossible because 2 of the teams are not even going to come close to having enough people to cover Lou, and he's just going to go off on them, which is
Well,
going
if you
to
think
suck
about
for
it,
them.
well, if you think about it, you have Isaiah, Guy, and
Akiva,
Akiva.
Who's
Well, if
hurt?
Akiva's full strength,
Anthony.
Anthony's not
Anthony's
playing.
not.
Anthony's out.
No, he's not coming.
Ryan
And-
might be there, but he's going to be a shell. I mean, I don't think he'll be full.
But I'm not even saying that. Like you're going to have to double him. So you're taking the best receiver from that team and probably like the safety. And now like who are the other 2 guys in that team that are going to be able to cover the other 2 players on the other team?
yeah.
You
No,
know, like
it's a
you're
fair
not
point.
you're not going to have stronger supporting cast on all 4 teams. So like even if you can cover Lou, those other 2 guys are going to run wild. It's not going to be really fair because you can't double cover. You can't have a double cover from 4 to like able to double cover one team with 3 other teams, and then like expect the other 2 guys that are covering to be able
Yeah,
to.
they'll be
cover
on
also.
an island, and
It's going to be
so-
very difficult. It's going
look,
to be really difficult.
It could be difficult, but again, obviously Jay would get first pick, and he would get Lewis. So I mean, again, Jay had a great week last week, but I still think he is, probably the weakest. So right now, the weaker of the 4 quarterbacks, so that offsets the Lewis.
It depends on who the 4th quarterback is.
Well, I think
gonna
it's
be
Chris.
Chris.
I think it's
And he hasn't played in a while, so that also makes things difficult.
Yeah, I hear you. Look, I mean, I can cut to the chase and say that right now the big game is ahead 7-5 in terms of votes.
Wow.
So a lot of
Wow.
this, we still don't have, a fair amount of votes. In fact, I think T hasn't even voted, so maybe he can submit his vote here. But right now, the big game is winning, and I will say, I have a lot of thoughts, and I think it's interesting because one thing that you made me think of, Fred, is that I think Lou chose the tournament style because he knows he'll score like 15 touchdowns in 2 games.
Right.
That game.
Exactly.
But T, do you want to give us your preference? Do you have one?
Yes, I definitely agree with the big game. I love the 5-man line. I have one extra receiver if that's possible. QBs just have to cut the field in half. Stop trying to make all these elaborate plays and just cut the field in half and work with what you can. So I vote big game.
All right, we'll see.
In a way, I have a
Yeah.
question about the
Mhm.
big game because I haven't played.
Oh.
I don't think I've played in a game where there's been 10 or more. I've been in a big game with more than 7. And I know how we change the rules a little bit, but not to the extent where we have 5 linemen, two count, and a quarterback can run. So I've never played in that game before. So my question is this: how many defensive linemen can actually drop back into coverage? Is it still just 1?
I believe we have one extra. You have a linebacker, and a lineman can drop
Lineman.
back.
Okay.
I think I have to remember exactly how it will work. It gets crowded. I mean, trust me, it will
It's
be
bad.
It will be a defensive game, partially because you'll have a lot of defenders, partially because it's like I would love the big game if we had a week of practice. If we could design
Right.
plays, we could
Hey,
talk about.
Darren.
Yeah.
I had a weird idea that I was going to throw out there. If we do have 24, could we do a game where it's 7-on-7, but we break up the teams to like offense and defense, and we have one player on each team that goes both ways? So like Lewis would go both ways, and Guy would probably go both ways, or Isaiah's, or you can actually switch that up. But like, you have one set of guys that are playing defense, and then you have to figure out who's better to play on your team on defense, who you're going to have on offense, and then you have the one player who goes back and forth. So, like,
Right,
do you
so-
want Nigel at safety or do you want Nigel at quarterback?
I think you
Or
would
you could
have
play 'em
probably a
both.
couple players that would be two-way, right? If you have 24, then you have 12 players on your
And like,
team.
but like I'm saying, you have six. You have a set defense,
Oh,
and
okay.
you have
So
a
you,
set offense, where like your team doesn't score, your offense comes off the field, your defense comes on, kind of like a real game.
yeah, I mean, it's actually interesting. I think it's too late that I don't want to like, do this now. But like, I like the idea to think about for future potential big games. I mean, I think it'll be a little bit boring for people to come out and sit for half the game.
I think though, like when you have everybody like out together, and it's the last game of the season, like whoopla, like guys just hanging out, waiting to get back on the field, yelling and screaming at each other, video in the game or whatever. Like I think it could actually be fun. Like it's the last game. Like really, like we really shouldn't be taking this game all that seriously. Like it should be a lot more fun. We're gonna go out after. Like yeah, it's gonna be competitive, but like trying something new or having a big game or doing the 4 teams, like really, that's not something we do normally. So
Mhm.
like we really should just have some fun with it.
I think I like your idea with one little tweak. I think that there's going to be a number of players who are going to, for better or worse, be relegated to the defensive side of the ball where they're really primarily hoping to score a touchdown or be involved in the offense. So
Well, we
what
can
you
always
allow the
swap.
teams to do, well, that's okay. This is Fill in the Blank by Fred Pilla. But yes, I was basically going to say we could just interchange the parts. It's just you have a bench with 6 guys. You play 6-on-6 or 7-on-7. Your bench is either 6 or 5 guys, and then those guys are you can whatever, you can interchange or whatever each player. So I think that's not a bad idea.
It's
No,
an,
it's not.
it's an interesting idea. I think
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it could be a madness, especially. I mean, I think you wouldn't allow for interchangeability on in between drives unless you need it, like someone gets hurt. But like having people run in and off the field.
No. That's not what I was suggesting. Is like the offense gets a drive,
Mhm.
and then on the next series, if you're the quarterback and you've got 4 or 5 guys with 6 guys with you, 3 of those guys come off and 3 of the other guys come on, and then you just kind of interchange it. Just in
I
that
think
sense.
but I think you would want like units. Like I think what could be interesting is what Fred was saying, but so each unit plays an offense series, and then
a
the next time
defense.
they're the defense series,
Defense.
and then
Yeah.
the defense.
That's what I'm saying. Like
The defense unit. So it's not all game. You're the defensive unit. You switch off every 2 drives
yeah,
and play the other side of the game. Which
and
I
it
think,
makes it really
and
interesting to
what's
see
yeah.
who picks.
let's see what
like,
T say.
No, I mean,
I just
No, I
wanna-
was saying that's actually interesting as well that you said that, because I was just gonna say the only other way we can actually do that is if we take a vote to find out who are the players that would want to play one side of the ball. Because I'm sure there's a lot of guys who want to come out and, like Jay said, want to run around and play both sides. So if anybody's willing to play one side of the ball, we'll take a vote. If we have a certain number, like 5 or 6, then that's actually feasible.
what's
but
most
like Darren said,
interesting
we
to
don't have
me,
to do that.
Fred, what's most interesting, and I think you'll appreciate this, is that Lou is then forced to sit at least 2 drives every 4 series. So you don't have the Lou debate of whether or not he sat enough or he should be sitting.
Exactly.
He's forced to sit in that arrangement. So you're going to get teams with no Lou effect on more occasion, which might make for an interesting final game.
So what I think I'm gonna do, because I really do kind of like this idea. I like the the creativity, and it is the final game. We have 20 right now, so I don't know if it's. I think you could do it with any number.
Yeah, 10
but
on 10.
no, you would do 7
But
on 7.
sevens, but with three bench players
that run in and out. It's not as interesting. I think it's more interesting if you have almost a full unit, and it's a full switch. It's basically because you do want to kind of force people to play offense once every 2 drives, not just because it didn't work, switch it up, and then otherwise, what's the point? And people are going to realize that they're sitting more than they were supposed to sit or whatever. I think you really want to like strategize. What are your units? You know, what best of your players work together and combine. And so if we get more than 20, I think we can consider it. At 20, I think it's not as interesting. I think the big game is probably the way to go. But if we get closer to 24, 22, 24, and there are a few players that I still think might haven't RSVP'd yet, might end up showing, then I think what I'll do is probably send an email saying who wants to do this instead of the big game, and see what ends up happening.
So-
And I just let me.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Jay.
T, let me just make one quick point, and then I'll let you finish this segment. I do think it's really more in line with what our league is about. If we can figure out a way to stay 7-on-7, than it is to have either a big game or a tournament. Both sound interesting. Both are fun. But generally speaking, when we play our regular season, we don't play a quarterback can run a 5-line. We don't do a tournament style. So like, as much as that's interesting, I think more in line with the FDL and a final game where we have this big crowd is to try to manage it or figure it out the way we just discussed. 7-on-7 with bigger benches, with more rotations, and play out a game that way. But T, what do you want to say?
Yeah, and I was just gonna ask Darren that. So if it stays at 20, are you planning to do the 10v10, or that's how you was? That's what
I mean, right now, with your vote, it's 8-5. I don't see the tourney catching up in votes. And by the way, I gave Gary tie-breaking privileges, authority, and he also
He's earned it.
He's earned it. He's going to be reffing, and he also chose the big game. By the way, just quickly, because I know we said we're going to try and keep this 45 minutes, or we're going to fucking blow by that. But this was a very good idea.
Discussion?
No, something that Fred just brought up was awesome. I mean, like, I think that's actually a really potentially cool way to handle it. Anyway, about the big game, I hate it. Like I said, if you had a week of practice,
I hate it too.
I think it could be much more interesting. In the huddle, it's a mess. On the field, it's super crowded.
It's a mess.
It's just not it. I know it feels like a real game with the line, but it's not, and it just makes things, I think, kind of a mess. So I don't love it. That's why I would prefer the tourney. But I get people don't love the tourney. What I don't like about the tourney is you have like two separate games going on, so it's not like everyone together and like rooting, like you don't even know what's going on the other side of the field, and it's not that cohesiveness that I like about the FPL.
Wait, you will know what's going on the other side of the field. You'll hear Lou
yelling at you.
Unless he's
You'll know
in your
exactly
game.
what's going on.
What the fuck, Jay?
He's either
What the
yelling at his
fuck, Jay?
quarterback or he's yelling at his teammates. Or
Well, Jay's his quarterback. We already said Jay gets first pick. So yeah, you're right. I would know that. But anyways, that's I think
well,
this
Darren,
is
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
If it is going to be a 4-team tournament, I would like to take a stab at making the teams instead of having the quarterbacks pick them, which in the past has ended up badly. I don't know about the 14 tournament, but just picking teams has ended up badly. Like, I would like to actually to work with Caston and have him
that's
take
fine.
over my teams and make 4 teams that are as
As fair as
equal
you can
to
do
each
them.
other as possible.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, it just was, I figured it would be easier to have the 4 quarterbacks go through a draft, like a Zoom draft the night before or something like that. But I totally trust you and Caston to come up with 4 teams that would work as much as possible. Like I said, it would be difficult because we have that, we have Lewis out there, but I don't think it's going to be relevant because.
Well, that's kind of a draft would probably work if there wasn't a player like Lewis out there.
Right.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
but to begin with, Freddie, you guys have done an amazing job over the last couple of years picking teams. So, I don't know
Thank
what
you.
hoopla came about, about the complaining about teams, but I mean, you, Chris, Jay, you guys, y'all done great, despite what everybody else is saying. So I don't know why you relinquished that job, but let's see if you could get back to it with Caston. Yeah.
All right,
I
let's
didn't
talk.
relinquish it. Somebody said that they can make the fairest teams there ever were. I mean, seriously, the guy sounds more and more like Donald Trump every day to me. So I gave him the opportunity, and he failed.
It was just to shut him up. Lewis was one of the biggest complainers. he's a reason why making teams is such a challenge in the first place anyway, because of how he separates from us from a skill level. And he complains when the teams seem unfair to him, stacked against him when he's scoring 50 touchdowns a year and has a winning record. It's bullshit. We gave him a chance to make teams and see what he could do, and he literally showed zero impartiality, and made a mockery of the thing. So we know that's done and all good. So back to Fred.
Before we lose our entire audience here, let's shift back to last week's game and try to figure out who deserves MVP from this overtime thriller. And then we can talk a little bit about Amity Hall afterwards and wrap this thing up.
Perfect.
So, T, I'm sorry, you cannot weigh in. You were sleeping.
He can give us.
I just want to say, just looking at the stat sheet that I have in front of me, I mean, 5 TDs thrown, 1 pick. I mean, Darren sounded like he was hot. I know we have contributions from others. Anthony looked like he did good. Isaiah was a monster, but I mean, Darren was red hot though. So I mean,
first of all, I did miss an interception. I forgot about it. So I had 2 interceptions. Lewis caught an interception.
Two thrown. Okay.
Two thrown. Yeah. So
you just lost the MVP with that one.
Okay. Yeah.
I had a good game. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say differently. I was throwing it well, and I made some important key plays. However, my vote is for who, by the way, Nigel can't be here. He had some work doing, but he said, let it be known that my vote is for Omar as MVP. And I'm going to second that because Omar was a beast on the line, which again, a lot of pressures, 2 sacks, caught the game winning touchdown, was a positive energy, in the game, just talking about how he's ready to go. Just let's do it. And Anthony had a great game. He might have been my runner. What's that?
No, I was just saying, give us Omar a shout out. Good stuff.
Yeah. Omar had a great. Anthony had a great game. He might have been my runner up, but I'm giving it to Omar.
Yeah, he was a close. Yeah.
So Freddie.
So since Omar has 2 votes, and I think he's already the winner, and he is the winner. I'm just going to cast my vote for Jay Zinner because he had the game of his life and kept their team in it when it looked like they had nothing. So I definitely think Omar gets the MVP and deserves it. But as a consolation, I'm throwing my vote to Zinner just so he's not forgotten on how well he played this weekend. It was awesome to see him finally break out of his quarterback shell and get a kiss from none other than Lewis. Lewis actually kissed.
I did get a kiss from Lewis on the way back. On the way back from T, you walked by the field, and no one knows this except for you and those that I've shared it with. But I actually had about an hour of practice time with Lou, which probably helped me on Sunday just get my timing right with him. And I threw what he calls a smash route, which maybe we'll have an opportunity to use again. But ultimately, he broke free, got away from the safety, got inside towards the post. It was a post corner, and he ended up in a spot where I could lead him, and he ran right under it and caught it. And he came back, he says to me, "That is the best throw of your life." And he came up and gave me a little air kiss on the cheek. And I was like, that's it. I should retire right now. But I wanted to just weigh in on the MVP just very quickly. I thought Omar played a really brilliant game. I think just from an energy and sort of that enthusiastic spirit that we hope everyone comes to the FDL field with every week, Omar exhibited, and he continued to, even when he had a bad play here and there, he ultimately got right back up and either made a big defensive line play or made a good catch on offense or scored a touchdown. And so he's a well deserving MVP. But I will say Anthony played a great game. He's not afraid to go face-to-face, mano-a-mano with Lewis. There was actually almost a little bit of a scuffle. There's like he wants to go against Lewis. He wants to be challenged by the best.
There were a couple times. Oh, go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Jump in.
I was just going to say there were a couple times in the huddle where we were like, Lou, you got to play line. And we were getting mad that Lou was out running routes every drive. And then, Lou did play the line and Anthony's like, no, get him out. I want him out. I want him to come out. All right, he did it twice, Freddie, but he did play the line a couple times, and Anthony was not happy. Anthony wanted to go against him all the time. I admire his moxie. I think his skill set is close, and he'll just improve with time. as well. So all right,
He's-
great discussion.
He's well, just one last quick. I'll just finish it because I got interrupted. I just want to say that Anthony is one of those guys that we all will want on our team, much like we want a guy on our team. Just a guy who comes to the field with the right attitude and leaves it all out there and isn't afraid of anybody and isn't going to back down. He's always going to give you his best. And so I just wanted to applaud
And
Anthony
doesn't
for his
berate
effort.
you when you throw a bad pass.
No. But I do want to go back to Darren briefly, not to kiss Darren's ass, but anybody who throws 5 touchdowns, I don't care if you had that second pick, you did lead your team. You stayed composed. It was a close game. You were responsible the entire time for your team's success or failure, and you came through. So, I mean, without you, and I know we like to shy away from quarterback play when it comes to MVP if we can, you know, Darren definitely deserves honorable mention for MVP for his winning drive, the winning throw in overtime, and being responsible for his team offensively the entire game. You also had a pick, right? Or no?
No, I didn't have.
No.
Because it was
I had a
back.
pick
six.
6 that was taken back. from me.
Yes.
All
Oh.
right.
Okay.
Anyway, that was the game. Let's go quickly. This is it. I cannot believe
Ah,
the end of the season. It bums me out.
Ellie.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it bums me out.
That's
My
the
body is happy. My back is like, I'm done. But my mind wants to keep playing and hates the idea of it, 5-6 month wait. But we're gonna
Dreadful.
close. We're gonna
How long?
close 5 months. Is it 5 months?
Yeah, it was,
Yeah. We play for 7 and we're off for 5.
yeah, 5. Yeah.
Wow.
But we're gonna close it with a bang this week with a great group of guys. 20 plus. That's so awesome. And then we're gonna have our celebration at Amity Hall. Most of the people are gonna be there. We're gonna miss Akiva. We're gonna miss Abraham. Frank isn't gonna be able to join us.
Ben.
Wait, no Akiva?
No, Ben's gonna be there. Ben's gonna be there.
No Akiva?
I said Abraham. I meant Abraham. Sorry.
Oh,
no,
okay.
Abraham.
You said
and
Akiva.
I did. I meant Frank, Abraham, and
Alexi.
Alexi.
You meant Alexi.
Okay, I meant Alexi. Thank you. A lot of A's, whatever. But most of the people I think are going to be there. Hopefully, some people can bring their family members. Love to see some of the people who haven't played, like Moosh. Where you at, buddy? Let's come on out.
Mhm.
You're a huge part of the FDL, even if you didn't play one game this year.
Oren. Where's Oren been?
Yeah, I try to get.
By the way, where's Rick Halmo? I gave him a shout out in my last recap. I missed that guy.
and he's been, these guys are married. By the way, Ryan, it's gonna be exciting to see him. My God, that's like the story of the week. I want to see what kind of shape he's in. He got married last month. I was talking. He said, "Wife permitting." I was like, that's the 2 worst words in the fucking English language, man. So I guess we're not seeing you. And then
divorced now. Divorced now.
He sends me pictures of his wife saying, "But this is her." I'm like, oh, all right. I guess
Isn't Salim coming out?
Salim is going to be out for the second time this year. So that's cool. And so yeah, that's exciting. We got who else? There was someone else who was Ryan, Salim, and
Puneet's coming out.
Oh, Puneet, new father, coming back for the first time as a father. So anyways, we're gonna go out with a bang. We're gonna have a blast at Amity Hall. And then we have other events. We have the FDL Summer Barbecue. Chris is gonna hold it earlier this year because of his impending new baby in June 3rd. So save the date. And then we have obviously the Zimner Invitational, even though Terrence has unsubscribed to those emails.
Unbelievable.
If you can make it, please do. It's a great event for good cause, and a lot of FDL members will be there. Yeah, Freddie?
Let's not forget the impending return of one Zach next year, which is going to be great for the FDL. We have to wait a whole summer, but we're getting Zach back, which will make the team so much better.
Yeah,
well, wait.
We don't know for sure, but
yeah, we don't know for sure. He's saying he's trying to figure out a way to get back to New York. He's in Austin
He'll get
right
back.
now. I'm sure he's happy. But
yeah, but so we have that as well, and so anyway, so the FDL. And I love you guys and appreciate
love you too. Great year.
Love to the FDL.
And by the way, we'll do another Inside the FDL after the last game, and then we'll talk about our awards presentation. Yeah,
I'm hoping to have the award. I have to do a better job doing it earlier this year because we want to, for that barbecue, we want to have those votes tallied and so we can announce those winners for the June barbecue. And
maybe we'll take 5 minutes at the party and we'll start scribbling down some notes for the awards so you can get a head start.
For who?
And Freddie, thanks for the honorable mention.
Yes, yes.
And T.
I mean, you had my vote for MVPs, but you know, looks like Omar got it this week. Congrats, Omar, once
Yeah,
again.
congrats, Omar.
Yes.
Well done. Well
All
done.
right, T, bring it home. Bring it home, T.
Oh man, well, thank you so much, folks, for joining us on another edition of Inside the FDL. Please, as always, stick around. Stay tuned for next week's final edition, and we hope to see you there. Till next time.
Wake up, T.
There's no more partying on Saturdays. That's why I retired in the first place.